Hello everyone. This is Hello everyone. This is a geography concept video where we will be discussing today an important topic, that is thunderstorm. Thunderstorm, we know that it is a kind of a extreme weather situation, and this topic can be asked by UPSC apart from prelims in main examination. Or main examination there are two papers, that is GS paper 1 in geography section and in GS paper 3 in case of disaster management. These two sections where this question can be or this topic can be asked. So let's see what is thunderstorm and discuss this concept in detail. So thunderstorm, if we want to define it, it is an extreme weather situation where there is the rapid cloud formation is happening, and this rapid cloud formation results into the heavy precipitation. So a very heavy precipitation happens during the thunderstorm, and we know that environment में या weather की वजह से जो भी phenomena exist करते हैं, they do not exist without any prerequisite conditions. So there has to have certain prerequisite conditions. Similarly, in this case, there are certain prerequisite conditions which are responsible for thunderstorm. So conditions can be like high temperature, because it is due to high temperature there will be the upward movement of the wind will happen. Another condition is atmospheric instability. Atmospheric instability is a kind of condition which is conducive for the vertical movement, or that is to say upward movement of the atmosphere. So atmospheric instability is the essential condition here. Further, the air which is being uplifted, that has to have a moisture, because it has to revert back the precipitation. तो जो एयर ऊपर जाएगी उसे वापस क्लाउड फॉर्म करके प्रेसिपिटेशन भी करनी है, तो इसीलिए इट इज नेसेसरी कि उसके पास मॉइस्चर हो. देन देयर इज नेसेसिटी दैट देयर इज अ पुश फॉर राइजिंग एयर, दैट इज टू से थोड़ी एयर राइज कर गई, it won't result into the formation of a big cloud. To have a big cloud to be formed, it needs to have multiple and continuous rising of the air, which will result into the cloud formation. So these are the prerequisites for the formation of thunderstorm. Now, having seen the conditions, अब आगे चलते हैं to see what is the trigger action because of which thunderstorm actual में start होता है, and what is the cloud formation associated with it. So before getting into the detail, I would like to take you to the blackboard where I will discuss with you the cloud formation process. So we know that in case of atmosphere, largely all the weather events are happening in a layer which is troposphere. So troposphere में all the weather events are happening, and we know that troposphere में with increase in height temperature decrease करता है. So as we increase in height, there will be a decrease in temperature. This decrease in temperature with height is known as normal lapse rate. Normal lapse rate means this is actually 6.5 degrees centigrades per kilometer. That is to say, for every per kilometer rise vertically upward, there will be a decrease in 6.5 degrees centigrade in the temperature. So what happens if an air is basically moving upwards? So what will happen? As it moves upward, it gradually loses its temperature. So hot air, which is rising from below, gets cooled. During the process in which it gets cooled, the moisture in the air gets converted into the liquid water, and drops are formed. So this is the process of condensation which is happening in the rising air. It is due to this condensation a cloud is formed, and if there is continuous pressure, then this cloud increases in size, and ultimately with increase in height, temperature goes to such a level that beyond a particular point, beyond a particular height, there is actually the presence of, or the conversion of, water droplets into ice crystals happens. And this point where it is the 0 degree centigrade is known as the freezing line. Now let's get back to our slides, क्योंकि हमने देख लिया how the cloud formation happens. How does trigger action work in case of thunderstorm? So trigger action का यहाँ पर main काम यही है कि that they lead to the cloud formation by proposing the upward lift of the wind. So it may be due to the frontal cause. Fronts are basically when two different air, they do interact with each other. So cold air and warm air, when they interact with each other, there is a front. In this case, whenever there is a cold air, so warm air which is here and cold air which is here, so warm air is lighter in nature and it get uplifted. So यहाँ पर जो warm air होगी वो ऊपर उठ जाएगी, and we know that जब air ऊपर उठेगी तो cloud formation होगा. So this acts as a trigger action for the thunderstorm, specifically in the regions where the fronts do exist. So in temperate region, this kind of cloud formation happens. Further, whenever there is a barrier in case of mountain, which acts as a barrier for the flow of the wind. So with the mountain, along the slope of the mountain, there is a rise in air, and due to this rise in air, there is a formation of cloud happens. Similarly, it is due to the high temperature at the surface, there is the convectional rise of air, and it is due to the rise in air, there will be the cloud formation. So these are the three different trigger action which leads to the formation of cloud and ultimately which results into the thunderstorm. So moving ahead with our progress, let's see how thunderstorm gets developed. So the development of thunderstorm can be categorized into three different stages. So there are three distinct stages. The first stage is cumulus stage. It is the stage where we can see there is the formation of cumulonimbus cloud is happening. So cumulonimbus cloud is happening here. So this formation of cumulonimbus cloud, which is a very thick and tall cloud, this cloud is rain-bearing cloud. Rain-bearing cloud means this cloud will result into the rainfall after its fuller development. So what happens? In the initial phase, there is the rising of the air. The rising of the air is known as updraft. So there is a continuous rising of the air. So continuous updraft is there, and then which leads to the formation of cumulonimbus cloud. And this dotted line, the blue dotted line, shows the freezing line. So here it will be condensed droplet of water below the freezing line, and above it will be the ice crystals. So above freezing line, there will be ice crystals. In the first stage, there is very strong updraft and there is no downdraft. In the second stage, which is the mature stage, here both updraft and downdraft is happening altogether. Downdraft is happening because this cloud, which has formed very big, very thick, is actually has retained a lot of weight in the form of drops of water and crystals of ice. And because of this, तो gravity के action में, due to increased weight, this entire air which is rising will bring down the mass of the cloud in the form of droplets and the crystals of ice. So it will result into a kind of heavy rainfall. This is the mature stage. So mature stage is comprised with the two ideas. Number one is the updraft and downdraft, and ultimately resulting into the heavy rainfall. And then there is the last stage, that is the dissipating stage. It is the stage where the updraft actually ceases to exist, and mostly it is dominated by the downdraft, and the rainfall gradually decreases towards the end of the cycle of thunderstorm. So this way, what happens in the three-stage process, thunderstorm gets formed and ultimately it gets dissipated. So this is the various stages which are involved in the process of thunderstorm. Now let's move forward and try to see what are the weather and associated phenomena which are being caused by thunderstorm. So in weather, if we see, so precipitation is the main weather phenomena which is happening because of the thunderstorm. So what is the precipitation? Precipitation is the term which encompasses all the other form of precipitation. So in case of thunderstorm, there will be rainfall, that is liquid water will enter. There will be hailstorm, that is ice crystals, जिनको हम हिंदी में ओले भी बोलते हैं, they will reach to the ground surface. So when this torrential rainfall happens, it is basically not so good for the agricultural field. तो जितनी agricultural crop है, they suffer damage because of thunderstorms. Another phenomena is lightning and thunder. This we will discuss in detail. Then there is the phenomena of squall. Squall, basically what happens, thunderstorm do happen in the form of cells, and each cell means updraft and its consequent downdraft is one cell. So when thunderstorm happens in multiple cells, so there is a lot of cumulonimbus cloud happens along a very long distance over the surface of earth, if it is earth's surface, and above it there are a long multiple cumulonimbus clouds are found by multiple cells of thunderstorm, then it will be known as squall. So this is the squall. One of the recent and more common phenomena which is been associated with the thunderstorm is the cloudburst. Cloudburst means that there is a very heavy rainfall over a short duration of time. Short duration of time. So what is happening in case of very heavy rainfall and the cloudburst? A huge amount of water enters into the particular region, and this water, once it enters, it does not get into the drainage effectively, neither it gets completely infiltrated towards the ground. So what happens, it results into a flood, and this flood is often known as flash flood. So flash flood is very common. In case of India, we have seen several episodes of flash flooding, one in Uttarakhand, another one in the Kedarnath in Himachal, and several flash floods we have seen in case of Maharashtra, specifically in Mumbai. These are also seen. Now there is another question, that there is the responsibility of there is the case of association of climate change with this extreme climatic event. So in case of climate change, due to rise in temperature of earth in general, that is the global warming, the frequency of such events like thunderstorm and resultant cloudburst has happened. So this has become more common in case of or in the presence of climate change. Cloudburst is not necessarily like the burst of a cloud. It is not like a burst of a bubble. तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि एक बलून हुआ और बलून सडनली बर्स्ट हो गया. इट इज लाइक एक पर्टिकुलर रीजन में देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ रेनफॉल जो कि बहुत छोटे से टाइम पीरियड के लिए इतनी ज्यादा है, वहां पर वो फ्लड कंडीशन क्रिएट कर देती है इंस्टेड ऑफ डायरेक्ट ड्रेनिंग आउट ऑफ द natural drainage system of that particular region. So this is the cloud burst. Now let's move forward to see what is lightning and thunder. So thunder and lightning, these are the associated phenomena with thunderstorm. Lightning, we know that there is the spark, very strong spark of light which is visible in the sky. So lightning में आपको बहुत strong light दिखाई पड़ती है sky में. And why this happens? This happens because in case of cumulonimbus cloud, when it reaches to a very tall level, then what happens? During the mature stage, we have seen that there is updraft, and at the same time there was a downdraft. So it is due to this updraft and downdraft, there is a lot of turbulence happens. There's a lot of turbulence happening here, and because of this turbulence, जो ice crystals form हुए, they scratch with one another. So due to their collision, there is the possibility that charge gets developed in the cloud. So in this, the positive and negative charge gets developed, and ultimately this charge gets separated by each other. So somewhere you can see there is negative charge and there is positive charge. There is positive charge, and it is due to this positive and negative charge, the adjacent areas, they also get charged up. For example, the earth below the positive charge will be having negative charge, equal and opposite type. Similarly, adjacent to the negative charge, there will be positive charge on the earth's surface. The cloud which is formed adjacent to the cloud will also get charged because of the static field of this cloud, as well as the turbulence happening within that particular cloud also. इस वजह से क्या होता है, देयर इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग लाइटनिंग विच हैपेंस. तो लाइटनिंग में क्या होगा, फ्रॉम वन चार्ज टू अनदर चार्ज क्लाउड, देयर मे बी क्लाउड टू क्लाउड ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी, इलेक्ट्रिक एनर्जी. फ्रॉम क्लाउड टू एयर देयर मे बी ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी. देयर मे बी अ ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी दैट इज क्लाउड फ्रॉम क्लाउड टू ग्राउंड. दिस कैन ऑल्सो हैपन. सो तीन चार तरीके से देयर इज द पॉसिबिलिटी इन विच लाइटनिंग कैन हैपन. In fact, within the cloud itself, there can be a lot of lightning. That is the intra-cloud lightning, which can also happen. It is due to this lightning, a more than 100 megawatt volt of electricity is being released suddenly. And this electricity holds so much of energy that it increases the temperature of the adjacent air by 30,000 degrees centigrade, which is huge. क्योंकि if we compare it with the sun's outer surface, तो सन के आउटर सरफेस में जो टेम्परेचर है इट इज 5500 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड. सो लाइटनिंग की वजह से जो फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड के लिए टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज होता है, दैट इज वे हाई देन द आउटर सरफेस ऑफ द सन. सो इस वजह से क्या होता है, अल्टीमेटली देयर इज अ ट्रांसफर ऑफ, देयर इज द एक्चुअल थर्मल एक्सपेंशन ऑफ एयर. सो जो एडजेसेंट एयर है वो थर्मली एक्सपेंड करती है और एक शॉक वेव जनरेट करती है जो कि साउंड प्रोड्यूस करती है. ये कुछ ऐसा ही है जैसे कि हम किसी बहुत गर्म बर्तन के ऊपर सडनली पानी डालें तो वी हियर अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग साउंड फ्रॉम दैट हॉट यूटेंसिल. तो सेम यहाँ पर भी होता है कि जैसे ही लाइटनिंग होती है तो एडजेसेंट जो एटमॉस्फेयर है वो एयर है, दैट बिकम्स वेरी हॉट, और वो हॉट होते ही एक थंडर क्रिएट करती है ड्यू टू थर्मल एक्सपेंशन. और उस शॉक की वजह से देयर इज दिस साउंड. This thermal sound, the sound of thunder, can reach up to 200 decibels, and which is huge. It can cause damage to human health. So human ear can be damaged. Control and coordination can be damaged. Apart from that, it can also lead to damage to physical property also. Lightning as a disaster is very difficult because it poses a serious threat to the life. It has ability to damage the buildings. And thunderstorm in totality, along with lightning, makes aeroplanes difficult to fly. So for flights, it poses a difficult condition. So this was the entire discussion with respect to thunderstorm, and I hope you have enjoyed it. So with this, we are going to wind up the discussion. So thank you very much. Until we meet again.